Okay, so in this video we're going to be running through the different view types such as grid, list, and tile. And we'll be running through a couple demonstrations to show you how to get this going pretty quickly. Now currently right now I have a section set up. I called it my section, and I'm going to be working with the audio type, and I've called it my category. I have is default set to true, so when we refresh the page it'll automatically select the particular section. So let's jump out and see what an empty category looks like real quick. I'm going to just refresh this guy here, and we can see that there's no data in here. Obviously it's just my section and my category. So let's go ahead and populate this. I'm going to jump up here and steal a couple audio nodes here because we are working with audio. And just know that in later videos we'll be going through each one of the category types in more detail. So if I go ahead and paste these audio tags in here and I come back here and I refresh, we still don't see anything because we still have to lay out the grid. And the same thing is going to be shown for list. However, when we click on title, we will see something because the title doesn't require any fields. It's pretty much ready to go out of the box. It requires very little configuration. However, for the other views, we will need to do a little bit of setup. So in order to get our grid to show correctly, we're going to be working with the grid tag. So we go ahead and choose the grid tag, and within the grid we have something known as fields, and fields really just map to columns. They're just another alias for columns. So within our grid we want to go ahead and create some fields or columns, and we want to go ahead and add our first column. Now within the field tag we have the concept of display and match. And match is a required attribute. We want to go ahead and match on any one of the attributes that are being used by the audio tag. So in this particular case we want to go ahead and show the title. So if we type in the title here and we go ahead and give it a display name, I want to go ahead and make sure that this has a capital T in it. And if I save this out and I jump back to the PlayIt, we will see that title is now showing in the grid view, and it is sortable. So you can sort on it. Now, if we wanted to add more fields, we can easily do that by just cutting and pasting, and we're going to go ahead and match on album now. Let's do album here, and say instead of calling it album, we wanted to call it my album. So we save that out, and bam, the new column shows up here. So whatever field you want to be shown in the grid, you just put it in the fields list and it will begin to show those fields dynamically. Now there is also a concept that we have in PlayIt called dynamic field generation, and this allows you to create an attribute with whatever name you want it. So if you created an attribute with something called my name and you gave it the value foo, you can easily add this new attribute to the grid by just matching on my name. And if you wanted to give it a display name, say we didn't give it a display name at all, we just wanted it to be blank, we could easily come out here and see now foo is in this list. Now if we wanted to give it a title, we could easily do that, jump back out, and we got a title. So as you can see, the grid is very versatile, and you can add pretty much any metadata that you want to the audio tag. And as you add that data, it will begin to fill in the grid. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and jump into the list view. Now the list view is almost identical to the grid view as far as attributes are concerned, and we'll take a look at those in just a second. However, when we first load up PlayIt, we may want the list view to be the first view that's selected while still keeping the grid view as an option. So we can do that by coming up to the category tag and looking for the view-default attribute. And if we set this to list, then it will automatically select the list when this particular category is loaded. So if we jump back out here to PlayIt and we refresh it, we'll see that the list view is now automatically selected as the default view. So that is an easy way to set up whatever view you want to be displayed right up front. So let's go ahead and set up our list. The list is going to be, like I said, almost identical to the grid. In fact, we can even come in here and cut the fields value right here, paste these in here, and we're almost ready to go. Now, the main difference on the list is that there is an extra attribute called sort display. And is what this does is it will display what you want the sort field to be displayed as. Because in the list view, the title here for the display attribute is displayed a little bit differently. And we'll jump out here real quick and show you what I mean by that. So if I refresh this tile view, you see right here we have title. There's obviously we need to space this out and make it look a little bit better, but title on the display attribute shows within the list. So if we want to go ahead and format this to look a little bit better, we can go ahead and add some colons and a space right here after the attributes. And in this case, we want the title to show up at the top as a sort display item. As you can see, there's nothing being displayed right now because we didn't set the sort display. But if I refresh it, then you'll see that the sort display is ready to be sorted. And you can see over here how we added the spaces to each one of these lists. So for most parts, the list and the grid are going to be almost identical minus this sort display attribute. Now, something that you can also do on the grid and list is do a sort column and a sort direction. So if you wanted your first sort column to be my name, you wanted to sort on my name by default, you could easily do that by adding my name as the sort column, give the sort name a display name, we're just going to call it my name also, and if we reload this, we can see that now it's defaulting by my name. So, and as you can see, if you don't add an attribute to one of the items, so if we jump back out here to the audio tag, notice how we had my name on this audio element, but we don't have any my name here, then it's just going to show as unknown. So we want to go ahead and add my name, which is a dynamic element, and we're just going to call it foo2. And we're going to jump back out here where we're going to refresh, and you can see now foo2 is showing. So this is a high-level overview of the list view. So the last view that we're going to look at is the tile view. Now, if we want to show only the tile view, we can come up to the grid and list enable attributes and set them both to false. And setting both of these to false will only show the tile view. So let's jump back over here to PlayIt. And as we can see up here in the right hand corner, we have the grid and the list. But because we've disabled them, when we refresh, we're only going to see the tile view. And this allows you to really customize a category to a specific view if you only want that view. Now, within the tile view, there is the slider bar over here, which will change the album artwork of any one of the particular category data types. So on the audio, video, image, and link tags, there are attributes that point to what image you want to use. And the size duration of each one of these images is at its smallest, it's 64 by 64 all the way up to 256 by 256. So when you create these image elements, the largest size that you're going to want to create for these particular assets is 256 by 256. Now, if you want to, you can easily set this slider bar or the actual asset in here to a specific size on load. So if we come back here and we wanted to set the tile view to have the actual image poster a little bit larger, we can easily do that by setting the item size. Now the recommended sizes are 64, 128, 192, and 256. So say we wanted to set it at 128. We can do that by saving the item size and refreshing, and we can see right here that the item size is set at 128 by 128. And this allows you to kind of customize how you want the tile view to open. Now, one thing that you need to notice on the audio tag is that it works a little bit different from the other data types. So, for example, if you look over here at artist and album, you'll see that they are exactly the same. And when PlayIt runs, is what it does is it looks for this value here on artist and this value on album. And when it sees both of these values are exactly the same, it will create a grouping. So now this actually becomes an album. And if we jump back out to play it, we'll see that by clicking on this particular album and then forwarding to the next track, we can see that the song just changed right here. So it groups them into an album. So if you wanted them to actually be on a separate album, you could change either the artist attribute or the album attribute to something else. You come back here and you refresh and you see now there's actually two different items. So what PlayIt does under the hood is it looks for both the artist and the album and forms a unique key on those. Now the audio tag is the only one that it does this for currently in this version. So when you want to create an album, you can easily do that by shaping your artist and your album tags into unique keys. So this should be a full rundown of the tile view. So there's going to be a couple more things that we're going to wrap up this video with. Now earlier when I was going through the grid, I didn't show the width attribute. Now this attribute is only available on the grid fields field. And if we take a look at this attribute and set it to say 500, what this does is change the width of our column. So if we refresh this, we'll see that the title is actually expanded over to 500 pixels. So that's something that can come in kind of handy if you're trying to resize these particular columns. Now by default it'll try to do just a normal table layout if you don't give it the width. Something else to note on all of the views is the search filter, and this filter works very much like a like search. So as you begin to type in letters, as you can see, I typed in L, but it does a search across title and my album, and so in these particular cases it found L across both of those. But if I type in O, we'll see that it wasn't on the second one. So it's a like search across several of the main fields there, and it tries to do a filter on those. And this filter mechanism works the same across every single view. So if we try to do a SH, then it's just going to find that particular title. So this should wrap up everything regarding views.